So finally, here it is, a new intro for my channel. So hello and yes, welcome back to another video, guys. Now I hope you like the new intro for my channel there. I'm over the moon with it. Of course, I've got to give a big thank you and a big shout out to the person who made that for me, and that is Dr. Robert Paul. Now, some of you guys may remember him because I recently gave him another shout out to say thank you because he done the artwork for my channel as well. You'll see my little logo, my picture. He created that, the banner on my channel when you go there. He done that as well. Fantastic, and I can't be more happy with that intro, you know. It kind of bounces off the logo and the banner. You know, it all kind of flows well. They all look the same. We've got Eric Clapton, air guitar, my music hero. So thank you so much, Dr. Robert Paul, for making that. It is incredible. I can't be more happy with it. And there's a link in the description to Paul's channel, Dr. Robert's channel. He's got a fantastic channel. Again, you know, if you like all that kind of classic rock that I talk about a lot here on this channel, from things such as the Beatles, to Elvis Presley, to, you know, all these classic rock musicians, to even a lot of modern stuff he talks about. He has very good taste in modern music. So a link in the description to his channel. You've got to check him out. He's a fantastic guy. So one more time, thank you so much, Paul. But anyway, now let's get down to the actual video. Didn't have a clue what to talk about today. I knew I had to film a video. I'm like, well, yeah, I've got to do one. You know, it's been like a week since I've done a video. What am I going to do? So anyway, last minute I decided, okay, let's just do top 10 closing songs for albums. So, you know, this kind of was a last minute thing. I thought, okay, I'll film that. So this hasn't been planned brilliantly, I can't lie. And my list, of course, no one's going to agree with this list probably. This is my opinion. And it isn't set in stone. This is just how I feel right here, right now. I'm going to miss albums, of course. I'm going to miss songs which people are going to say, how can you miss this? How can you miss that? You know, as I say, this is just my opinion for how I stand right here and right now. But of course, in the comments, I welcome your opinions in the comments and whatnot. But anyway, let's get down to it. So, coming in at number 10, my 10th favourite closing track at this moment in time is 1985 from Paul McCartney and Wings, Band on the Run. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, this is a very good album. One of Paul's best solo efforts. I know it's with Wings, but it's a solo Paul album. We all know it is. You know, it's a great album. The album has a lot of shining moments on it. From the title track, Band on the Run, all the way through to, you know, Picasso's Last Words. You know, fantastic album. And by the time you get to the last song, it ends so well because it has this great piano riff to it. It sounds incredible, the song. And I love the throwbacks to other songs in it. You know, I love how at the end you get the build-up to them singing Band on the Run one more time. So I love the kind of build-up that you have to the closing of this album. And it fits so well. And it's a perfect song. There's also a really cool, I've got it right here, 2016 remix of it, which is really nice. Got a really modern club-type beat. And, you know, while it's not as good as the original one, Band on the Run, of course, this is a very cool version of the song. So the song is still even being played a lot today. It's a brilliant song. And, yeah, one of my favourite closing tracks. So there's that. Next track up. Oh, by the way, I'm going to say one more thing as well. I've limited it so only the artist can only have one mention. Because there's a couple artists in this list where you can basically just fill the list up with their stuff. So the artist is only allowed one spot on here as well. That's what I've said. But anyway, continuing on, we've got, this is a special one. This would probably be a lot of people's number one. Eclipse from Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon is an incredible album, fantastic album. Probably the most loved album ever. I think I'd be correct in saying that. You've got Dark Side of the Moon, you've got Thriller, you've got Sgt. Pepper, all these such loved albums. But I think this would probably take the spot for number one, I think. But anyway, it closes so well. Again, there's a lot of build-up to this song. Throughout the second half of the album, you know, the album opens up, the second half starts off with Money, which is a fantastic song. And then there's just this pure build-up, this great production on this album, and it sounds incredible. And you wonder how are they going to go out on this album, and they really go out so well with the last song. There's a lot of build up to it in the end, and it ends on a perfect note. And the album, it wraps up the experience of this album so well. It's an incredible song for an incredible album. Okay, so coming in at number 8, this is one which probably won't be on many people's lists, but it's on mine because I'm biased. I love this guy. This is my favourite artist. We're going to be doing an Eric Clapton. He had to make it somewhere on this list. You guys know me. And I was debating whether to put Cream One on there, or I was looking at putting Derek and the Dominoes on here for Thorn Tree in the Garden, even though he doesn't sing that song. But, in the end I decided to go with this one because even though this isn't quite as clever as some of those Cream songs or the Derek and the Dominoes one, this song has a lot of sentimental feelings for me because I grew up listening to this song. This is one of the Clapton songs which got me into Clapton. And it is Before You Accuse Me from Journeyman. Journeyman, of course, being his 1989 release. One of my favourite albums in the entire 80s, period. This is his best. Clapton had a real downtime in the 80s. He had Another Ticket and Money and Cigarettes, which were okay. They're pretty good albums, really. But then you had the 2 Phil Collins ones, which generally the Phil Collins vibe kind of ruined them. Behind the Sun and August. Not great albums there. So he needed a good one to come back with. This is a fantastic album, from Pretending all the way through to his cover of Hound Dog. No Alibis is great, but then the album wraps up so well on what is one of the most popular tracks on the album. Probably Pretending and Before You Accuse Me are the 2 real popular tracks. So yeah, very, very pleased to include an Eric Clapton in this list. So that's number 8. Number 7 is going to go to one of my most favourite albums of all time. Absolutely adore this record. And it is the self-titled Led Zeppelin album. But technically, the people nicknamed it Led Zeppelin 4. So, of course, When the Levee Breaks. What a track. And this album has one of the best openers of all time as well. Black Dog. Fantastic opening track. Has one of the best songs ever on, Stairway to Heaven. Has one of my favourite acoustic songs on, Going to California. So you do think by the end of this, how are they going to wrap this up? The album has been so good. But When the Levee Breaks is a fantastic rocker. It kind of sums up the whole album well. It has a couple down moments on it. It's a good reflecting song, I think. It kind of looks back on the whole album almost to say, here's some of the heaviness, here's some of the slowness of the album. And again, there's a lot of build-up, there's a lot of tension in the song, just like Stairway to Heaven does. And it makes for a fantastic closer. Very, very good song. So, When the Levee Breaks had to make the list. And it made it at number 7, yeah. 8, 9, yeah, sorry, I'm having a brain fart, people. I apologise. Anyway, it's still early in the morning here. That's my excuse. It's still early. So, number 6 is going to, again, what could be a lot of people's number 1. And it's Won't Get Fooled Again, The Who. So, again, The Who, who's next? This is their really good album. I'm not the biggest Who fan. I mean, I like them a lot. I have all their records, so I must like them somewhat. For me, The Who, you've got to go Tommy, Quadrophenia, Who's Next. They are like their 3 mind-blowingly brilliant albums. This one is a fantastic album. Has a couple weak moments in the middle where you do think this could pick up a bit. However, the album opens brilliantly with Baby O'Reilly. Kind of like Led Zeppelin 4. Opens brilliantly and closes brilliantly. Although I do think Led Zeppelin 4 is a better album, consistently. But, same kind of formula. It opens brilliantly, closes brilliantly. Because Won't Get Fooled Again, the Who were always more of a, they one of those rock and roll bands. So you see an 8.5 minute long track and you think, that one might get old, I reckon. But it's definitely one of the better ones on here. Has some fantastic moments to it, and it had to make the list because it's a great song. Okay, so number 5, here we go. Top 5, this is where it gets really exciting. Now these top 5, really, they might not always be in this order, and they might not always be in the top 5, but these top 5 will always probably be in my top 10 closers, because I love these 10 closing songs. Okay, so coming in at number 5 is going to be Tom Petty, Wildflowers, and the track that closes it is called Wake Up Time. Yeah, okay, Wildflowers is a fantastic record to start with. Tom Petty kind of had this classic line where he could do no wrong. 3 albums really, but you can say 4 thinking about it. Full Moon Fever, fantastic. Its follow-up, Into the Great Wide Open, even better in my opinion. And then this one, Wildflowers, which is incredible. And then, of course, the one that follows this, She's the One, is also really good as well. But yeah, this has a fantastic closing track. Wake Up Time is just a beautiful song. It's kind of like this album tells a bit of a story. It goes through, it has a lot of different sounds, a lot of different vibes on it. But it's nice for it just to close on a nice, slow, calm song. It reminds me a lot of the Beatles' Good Night on the White Album, how, you know, Ringo kind of closed that album pretty well. You know, like, end of the album, time to go to sleep. This is kind of the opposite, you know, time to get up, you know, it's the end of the album, wake up time. And it's a beautiful song, I love it, and it's just a great closer. Tom's vocals on here are incredible, and I do love Tom Petty, he's one of my favourite artists, but I've never thought of him as being the best singer. But on this album, on this whole album, really, yeah, especially on the opening track, Wildflowers, sounds fantastic, but he sounds fantastic on Wake Up Time, so brilliant job there from Tom. Now, considering all of the albums that I've got to show are all kind of classic rock musicians, or most of them anyway. Yeah, you said they're all pretty much classic rock musicians. This one's going to seem a bit out of place because it's not. It's a modern band, or modern-ish. They started in, I think, 99, I think. I could be wrong. So yeah, this one will probably seem a bit out of place compared to the other albums I've shown. But I love the closing track. It is a beautiful closing track. And that is Coldplay, Ghost Stories, and the track is just called Oh. And yeah, I literally mean that. There it is, the last one. Oh. This whole album is, of course, about Chris and Gwyneth Paltrow's divorce. And he's writing all these songs to and about Gwyneth Paltrow. It's a really gut-wrenching album. Everyone says it should have been a Chris Martin solo album and not a Coldplay album. I do agree with that, but anyway, we got the name Coldplay on it. The whole album is just brilliant. I love Magic, Ink, True Love. You know, it's A Sky Full of Stars, of course, probably the best track on here, just before the closing one. But the closing track is just, again, just like Wake Up Time, just a beautiful song. It's a great song to end this album on. It really leaves you just you know, the album has a lot of dips and swerves in it. Even though the whole album is very mellow, it's about his divorce, it's not meant to be a happy album, so it is a quite depressing album at times. But, you know, it ends with this kind of mellow, not massively depressing feel, and it leaves you with kind of a really good taste for the album. And yeah, it's a very good album, probably my favourite Coldplay album, possibly. It's a very good record, I do like it a lot. So yeah, that's coming in at number 4. Okay, top 3. Top 3, I love all of these. So it's very hard to put these 3 in order. These top 3, they're all number 1. Really, they are. This is just the order that I've left them at. So number 3 is going to the Beatles, and it is Revolver. And we're going with Tomorrow Never Knows. Now, the Beatles have so many good closing tracks. I mean, let's face it, you've got this one. You've got Sgt. Pepper with A Day in the Life. And I do think A Day in the Life is a better track. Abbey Road, you've got The End, which just sums up that whole medley. Fan-dabby-dozedly. So, why did I pick Tomorrow Never Knows? Because I do think that A Day in the Life is better. And I think that The End sums up that medley perfectly. I picked it because it kind of sets the tone for where the Beatles are going. This whole album does in general, but this song does it so great. You know, the Beatles up till really Help were, you know, just a rock and roll group who were just a bit better than the rest. Then you get Rubber Soul, where you start to see them changing music a bit. It's like, oh, we're getting a lot more interesting now. And then they get this album, where you can see a lot more experimentation. You can see that, whoa, they're getting incredible now. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Beatles were brilliant before this album already, but this is where, in my mind, they get even better. And Tomorrow Never Knows really just leaves you thinking, wow, what is coming next? It leaves you with kind of tastes of where they're going, the geniusness that is about to come in Sgt. Pepper and then the White Album. And also the song itself is so fun to listen to. There's so much experimentation with the drums flip backwards. Lennon's vocals are incredible on this track. And it does end the album on a very good note. And it is a perfect closing track. If this track was anywhere else on the album, it wouldn't feel right. It has to be a closing song. Very, very good song. And I'll say this, Phil Collins didn't do a very good cover of it. But anyway, there we are. Okay, top 2, here we go. Now, this band has my favourite album opener of all time. And that is the Electric Light Orchestra. And they also have some really good closing tracks. Now, I nearly went with Shangri-La from A New World Record as my favourite closing track. But I went with this one instead, just because, again, you know, it's kind of like what I was saying about Eric Clapton earlier. It's one of that Clapton song, Before You Accuse Me, is kind of what got me into Clapton. That's one of the songs which helped me get into him. Same for ELO here. That's Wild West Hero on Out the Blue, which is a great record, fantastic record, probably one of the best double albums of all time. Fantastic. You know, the whole album is great. For Turdstone, It's Over, Sweet Talking Woman, blah 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 blah. I'm not going to get into them actually. But it ends with one of their hits, Wild West Hero. It's a great song, great story, and it ends the album really well. It's a very, very good song. It's just a classic, fun song. Number 1. Here we are. Now, I don't see this on too many people's number 1 spots. It's not the most liked song from this artist, but I really love this track, which is why it's here. That's why it's here on this list. Some people are probably going to say, this artist has actually got better closers. And, well, yeah, if you catch me in a different mood, I could say, yeah, I can see your point there. But at the minute, right now, I feel this is such a good album closer. At the minute, my favourite. And, yeah, it's Fame from Young Americans by David Bowie. So, yeah, David Bowie, Young Americans, great album to start with. I mean, the title track's fantastic. What else we got on it? Well, Fame, of course, is brilliant. He also does a cover of Across the Universe. And John Lennon plays on guitar throughout this whole album. So if you're a Beatles fan, you really should get this album if you want to be a completist on the Beatles. Because, you know, you got John pretty much here on this whole album. And he does backing vocals on Fame, my favourite track on here. So anyway, Fame is just, again, kind of like Tomorrow Never Knows. It's an experimental song. You're thinking, where is Bowie going to go next? This song is so cool, so unique, so different. And it closes the album perfectly because, you know, Young Americans is a very fun, energetic song. A lot of other tracks on here kind of have the same vibe. His cover Across the Universe has, again, the same vibe where it's just, oh, you know, nice acoustic David Bowie song. Fame steps it up a notch. It's like, okay, now he's going to be experimental. Not that he hadn't already, but, you know, where's he going next? I really want to see what he's going to do next. That's why this song works so well. Fantastic album, it's a fantastic closer, and at the minute, not set in stone, but at the minute, it is my favourite album closer. But anyway, that is it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please let me know in the description what your favourite album closers are, and of course, we're going to do another shout out to my contest. I have a contest going on at the minute, guys, for 2,000 subscribers, so if you're not already taking part, please feel free to go do so, because it's great, it's a lot of fun. I'm getting loads of entries, and it's really great to see these entries rolling in. And also there's a free record in it for someone, for the winner. So, go have fun. So thank you so much for watching again, guys. Please hit the subscribe button, like the video and leave a message. And I'll see you guys next time for another video. Hey,